the Hashtag Kangaroos podcast. Here is your host, Dean Masich.
G'day everyone and welcome back to the Hashtag Kangaroos podcast. I'm Dean Vasic. You can find me on X at Hashtag Kangas, Instagram, Hashtag Kangaroos podcast. Today's episode, we're previewing North Melbourne's clash with Hawthorn. But before we get into the match itself, there's been some fantastic news, probably over the last couple of days. Don't want to dismiss Will Dawson, but we'll start with the big news of the day. Charlie Comben has re-signed with the club for another 6 years. That's enormous for North Melbourne. Not only does it lock away one of the competition's emerging key defenders, but it's another young player committing his future to the football club. We've had Finn O'Sullivan, Harry Sheasel, Luke Davies-Uniacke over the course of the last couple of years commit their long-term future in North Melbourne Football Club. Also, if the reports are true that Tasmania was interested in him, well, that's another one they won't be getting. So, for me, Charlie Comben is a key pillar of North Melbourne's future. I actually think he's had a very underrated season. Week after week, he's competed against some of the AFL's best key forwards. He's continued to improve his intercept marking, and he's become a really important part of Kangaroos' defensive structure. So, yeah, fantastic signing for the club. I would have been a bit worried if we went into next year. He was out of contract with Tassie coming in. But, yeah, more than happy. And I think he's shown a lot of faith. The club have shown a lot of faith in him and his body, which has probably let him down a little bit over the course of his career. But last 3 years, I've got the stat up here, he's about 63 games into his career, I'm going to say. 66. So last 3 years, 2024, he played 19. 2025, he played 20. And 2026, he's at 18 games with still 4 to go. So that's good that he's starting to get some continuity in his football, and it does make a big difference. He's at a good age as well now. I think he's 25 years old. So 6 years will take him to 31. He just had his birthday a week ago to turn 25, so July 20th. So, yeah, fantastic news. Good news doesn't stop there either. Will Dawson has put pen to paper on a new 2-year deal. That's another positive piece of business from the club, rewarding a player who's shown a little bit of promise and giving North more depth in the key, not so much defensive stocks, but key position areas. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. There might be a few coughs happening tonight. I've got a bit of a scratchy throat. I've probably had it the last couple of hours, but I feel all right otherwise. So you may get the odd cough here and there. It's good to get him because we still don't know what his best position is, Will Dawson. I'd still like to see him tried as a defender, but at the moment it's probably going to be, he's coming to the side this week probably as a backup ruckman, as a ruck forward. That's what the club sort of see him as at the moment. So we'll see how we go, but it's good to have him on for a couple more years. And the attention turns to a couple more young players I'd probably love to see re-sign in the coming months. Now, there was a lot of talk a couple of weeks ago that these couple would be locked away, and that's Riley Hardeman and Zane Dursba. But the longer it goes on, the more pessimistic I get. So, but if we can get those boys for the next couple of years, I'd be absolutely wrapped. People often talk about who North Melbourne might recruit from other clubs, but one thing that this club has consistently done well is retained its own players. We might not always land a big fish, but we've always been a club that looks after its people. There's something special about North Melbourne. Its supporters understand, but it is hard to explain to those on the outside. Once players buy into the culture and become part of the club, they genuinely want to stay. But there is one player I'll be keeping an eye on, though, and it's going to be, I'll talk about him soon. That's Cooper Harvey. It would be a difficult decision for him if another club came knocking, given the Harvey family history of North Melbourne. Everyone would love to see him build his career in the Royal Blue and White. I definitely would, but I also understand that football is a professional game. I still think Cooper's best position is as a forward, and if another club offered him that opportunity along with a long-term contract, he'd have every right to seriously consider it. So, yeah, that's probably the one I'm not as confident in. I'm still confident Riley Hardiman and Zane Duursma will re-sign for the next couple of years. So we'll have to wait and see. Anyways, enough about contracts. Now, media. The media coverage has gone well beyond fair criticism. It's almost felt like there's been a campaign to hang Alistair Clarkson out to dry in the last probably 24 to 48 hours. Some commentators seemingly wanting him sacked. I'll leave it there because I don't want to spend too much time talking about the media, but I think some of the coverage has crossed the line from criticism into character assassination. And that's not journalism. That's just bullshit. Now, onto Clarkson. A few weeks ago, Todd Viney publicly backed Clarko and said he believed he deserved a contract extension, or words to that effect. At the time, I could understand that position, but the last few weeks have probably put those discussions on hold. And if the club decides to wait, I think that's a right call. Personally, I'm more than happy for Alistair Clarkson, the coach, North Melbourne next season. But if you're going to earn another contract beyond that, I think it has to be exactly that, earned. For me, it isn't just about the number of wins. It's about whether this football club is progressing. For a while now, I've been saying the same thing. North Melbourne needs a clear method, a recognisable identity, and a consistent standard of football. At the moment, I don't think we've seen that often enough. Too many weeks we've looked reactive instead of proactive. We've spent too much time worrying about what the opposition is doing instead of imposing our own game on them. Selection has been one of the biggest frustrations this season. I think all supporters can agree with that. There hasn't been enough accountability. At times we've seen younger players dropped after one or two quiet games, Riley Hardiman, while some experienced players have been allowed to play through poor form without the same scrutiny. Griffin Logue, I don't think that's the right message to send a playing group. Selection should set the standard. If you're in form, you play. If you're not performing, regardless of your age or experience, someone else gets an opportunity. I also wonder whether at times the coaching has become too outcome-focused rather than process-focused. I'm not saying that's definitely been the case. Only Alistair Clarkson knows that. But from the outside, it has felt like the emphasis has shifted towards chasing enough wins to strengthen the case for a contract extension rather than building a sustainable brand of football that will stand up for years to come. That's what I want to see for the rest of the season. Forget the contract talk. Show us a clear game plan. Show us a consistent identity. Show us a selection policy that rewards performance and holds everyone to the same standard. Didn't see it this week, unfortunately, but we'll talk about that soon. If North Melbourne finishes the season playing a brand of football the supporters can believe in, then the discussion about Alistair Clarkson's future becomes a much easier one. So one word for Clarko this week is confidence. Just coach with confidence. Bring a game style that North Melbourne supporters want to see. Bring back the North ball we were talking about a couple of years ago, the brand we saw when we took the game on against Gold Coast in that famous round 23 win that cost us Harley Reid. But play with play with overlap, get some speed behind the ball and attack the corridor when it's on. Let's be honest, the odds are against North this week. They're probably against us for the next month as well, for the rest of the year. So if you're going to lose on your terms. I'd generally rather watch North lose in a shootout, 150 to 90, playing exciting, attacking football, rather than 100 to 50 playing safe, reactive football. Back your players in. If Nikolaki marks the ball inside 50, I don't want to see him looking sideways. Have the shot. You're the key forward. That's your job. That's what you get paid the big bucks for. So, yeah, don't start all of a sudden look sideways, looking everywhere else and go against your process. Give Finn O'Sullivan the responsibility of going head-to-head with John Newcombe. Don't make it a hard tag. Let him compete, let him learn, and let him measure himself against one of the competition's best midfielders. Let's have some fun. I'm not saying throw structure out the window, but play with freedom, play with confidence. If we do that and Hawthorn beats us because they're the better side, I'll cop that. What I don't want to see is a team that's scared to make a mistake. We've seen that game against Fremantle weeks ago. We started that game off okay. We made a couple of bad mistakes and we're 2 goals down, but we were taking the game on. We were trying to take the corridor on. And then all of a sudden after quarter time, and ever since then, besides the Collingwood game, and the Collingwood game was good, unlucky to lose that, Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, after that game, it's just been far too safe, reactive football. Um, and one other thing that's been uh, bothering me and supporters, can we stop seeing players laughing and joking with the opposition straight after the final siren? There's one player in particular. And now I'm not saying players can't have friendship or show respect. That's part of modern football. I'll get that. But when you've just lost another game, I don't want to see. I want to see a group that's hurting. That's why I always think back to one of my favourite scenes and one of my favourite movies from Moneyball. If you've never seen the movie Moneyball, stop this podcast right now and go put it on. One of my favourite movies of all time. Now, Billy Beane, the general manager of the Oakland A's, walks into the clubhouse after another loss and he hears music playing. And he asks the player, sit down, or not, get down. And the player just gets down and he asks him straight away, is losing fun? Silence. Then he asks again, is losing fun? And the player says no. And he just turns around and he says, doesn't turn around, he just looks at him and says, then what are you having fun for? All of a sudden, it's all quiet. He throws a bat, it goes all quiet. He says, everyone's quiet, everyone's miserable. That's what losing sounds like. That scene has always stuck with me. I want North Melbourne to have that edge. I want players to hate losing, who are desperate to improve, and who use that disappointment as fuel for the next week. That's the standard I want this football club to set. Go out there on Saturday, play with confidence, trust your game, back your teammates, and give North supporters a brand of football they can get excited about. If you do that, whatever the result, you walk off knowing you stay true to the way you wanted to play. So that's what I want to see, Clarko. Confidence. Bring confidence this week and the rest of the year. Make Hawthorn, make the Bulldogs, make other teams react to you. Don't react to what they're doing. I know they're the better team that shows on the ladder, that shows with a win-loss record, but it doesn't have to be like that. Anyways, so team changes this week. So a couple of team changes this week. Oh boy. So, I'll go to the comments very soon. So, unfortunately, Cooper Harvey omitted, which puts a cloud over his future at this football club, and Matt Whitlock omitted as well. Into the team come a couple promising young guys, which I'm very happy about. Tom Myers gives a bit of outside run to the team, and Will Dawson, after a best-on-ground performance at the VFL last week, probably back up Ruckman this week to Tristan Sherry. Hopefully he gets more than 25% game time. But, yeah, it's hardly inspiring. Anyways, they're the changes. So I went to X and I asked you, magnificent North fans, the faithful fans, what people thought of the changes. So let's just get straight into it. The North Merchant, he does some fantastic work on X as well, at Kanga Merchant. Now, he asked, why is Hardeman being done like this? Here's emergency, didn't get into the game. And no, he hasn't requested a trade, not yet at least. So, yeah, that's probably the big one, why Riley Hardeman isn't getting a game. As I just get a drink of sorry, ladies and gentlemen, my throat's really dry, itchy. So, yeah, I'm not too sure why Riley Hardeman can't seem to get a game. Especially, I don't understand the obsession with playing Griffin Logue right now. But that's just how it is. Shinboner at page_GMA. Weak as piss. Fair enough. You're entitled to that opinion. Craig S. Scott should not be playing. That's probably the other one. He's got another game this week. Patrick Elwood, pretty good, but I love Hardeman to find a way in. Absolutely. Yeah. There's not much more we can say, really. Paul, at Paul D. Cat. WTAF! Exclamation point. Is this some sort of bad joke? It feels like the faithful are being trolled at this point. It's fast becoming Hardeman or Clarkson come this off-season. Harvey over Daniel. I don't think they play on the same side. Doveston over Bench. We need to get games into the Dov. He hasn't done much in the VFL, to be honest with you, Paul. I don't mind having a look at Bench. Doveston's going to be at the club for the next few years. He hasn't set the world on fire in the VFL, and we want to know if Zach Bench has got an AFL career, and it's a good opportunity for him to have the next few weeks and have a look at him. Actually, didn't think he was too bad last week, Zach Bench. Rusty_Snake. Stiffy hasn't played for 2 weeks, so assume that's why he isn't in. Scott should have been dropped along with Logue. Would have liked to have seen Ollie Griffin or George get a shot. Braden George, I don't think he's going to get a game, and I think they'll have to make a decision on his future at the end of the year. James Duke, the Dukester, at James Duke, just speechless. The one defender taking the game on gets dropped. We bring in an even slower, tall player over it. Starting to think Clarko needs to go. Same things he was doing at the Hawks when he got removed. Yeah, it's a bit... I didn't think they need another tall player. They dropped Whitlock, and I thought, maybe they'll go a bit smaller, but they've just bought another tall player. So, Yawning Clown. How the F does Scott keep his spot after a 6 disposal game? Clarko and this club hot. I don't think that's the right word. And get effed. I'm done. Surely Hardiman has to be playing in his side. So a lot of similar messages here, as you can see. But thanks for coming to chat. Paz. I'm so done. No Hardiman. Thought he was good against Collingwood. I'm so done. Thanks for coming in, Paz. Seems to be a theme to these answers. And Drew Simmons. Logue keeps his spot again. There seems to be a bit of talk about that. So, about Logue getting a game. So I'll go to Easter. Matthew Mill came in. He said, losing at the selection table weekly, they'll be too slow again. Possibly. Peter D. Flaherty, Harvey omitted. Question mark, exclamation point, question mark, exclamation point, question mark, exclamation point, question mark. So he's not happy. Harvey is at Siobhan Rowe. Done the old emoji with the mouth wide open, eyes wide open. So thanks for coming in, Siobhan. Hopefully you're having a good night tonight. I think she's got a bit on this week. So unfortunately for all the Siobhan Rowe fans, she couldn't make it tonight, but thanks for coming in to chat there, Siobhan. Anthony H. Cooper Harvey is a bit unlucky. Yes, I believe he is. Lee Matthews, last one. Bailey Scott kept in after 6 touches. Mind-boggling. For some reason, he was out of favour. He was pretty much done as an AFL player throughout the course of the year. And all of a sudden, the last 3 weeks, he's been a senior regular. He hasn't done much to really wow us and think that he deserves a spot on the team, because I'll have to think that he wouldn't be on a list next year. But here we are. The clubs have put him back into favour. It tends to happen when coaches are under pressure. They seem to want to go to the veterans a lot more than the kids, because they think that the veterans, they can play a role, they know what they're doing, whereas kids can be a bit unpredictable. So they want to go more the safe bet. But just looking at this team against a Hawthorn team, I don't know. It looks nothing's really changed too much from last week. I'm worried. Look, I'm starting to get bit worried about the pace of the Hawks. I was actually going into like this week feeling pretty optimistic. I've sent the message, Clarko, play with confidence, but it's just, I don't know, it looks too top heavy, and I don't think much is going to change from probably last week, to be honest with you. Similar sort of team. I think Will Dawson will play as a ruck forward. The back line. Do we really need Griffin Logue? Like, you don't really need to play him. You got Charlie Coleman, Aiden Core. They're your 2 key pillars. You can go a bit smaller after that. The Hawks have got a couple outs, important outs as well. Mitch Lewis, that Noah Mraz, he looked really good. In a few weeks, they've developed someone out of nothing, so they're going pretty well there. The Hawks have got, who have they got as their key key forwards. They've got this Aiden Schubert who's debuting, Jack Gunston, Marbia Charles. So you don't really have to go too tall in the back line. I don't understand this Griffin Logue business. It's a bit bizarre, but geez, we're going to have to do well in the midfield again. And I'd like to see Colvin McKercher in the back 6 or 7, but I don't know if they're going to do that. So that makes it a bit tough. It's not an inspiring team, is it, ladies and gentlemen? You got Hardiman, Whitlock, Harvey as your emergencies. It would have been nice to just maybe rest the Jack Darling, even rest Luke Parker. Saving the trip going to Tassie and play a couple of the young blokes. Riley Hardiman would have been nice in the back half. Cooper Harvey would have been nice in the back half ahead of Griffin Logue. A little bit frustrating, I guess. And the supporters are certainly feeling that. But anyway. Potential match winner. Geez, this is going to be tough. Maybe I should go potential coach saver, and I'll go Harry Sheasel. He's going to have to. He's going to have to play a mammoth game. And when I'm talking mammoth, he's going to have to get 40 plus touches, about 15 score involvements, 5 goal assists, 3 goals himself for us to be competitive this week. You'd have to think. Breakout game. I'll go Foss, Finn O'Sullivan against John Newcomb going head to head. I don't want to see a hard tag. I want to see him released to the shackles and outdo and outplay John Newcomb. But we'll have to wait and see. I'm not sure. So final prediction for the game, I'll go Hawthorn by 42 points. I'm hoping it's around that margin. Look, I'm very nervous about this game. I think the Hawks might, and especially, Sam Mitchell, I think he'll love nothing more than to put an axe into, or a knife into Clarko's back this week. So it could be easily doubled that, and it wouldn't surprise me if it was doubled, that margin. So, it's a bit of a nervous one. We don't seem to match up too well against the Hawks. They seem, very, very quick on their feet. But you can only hope. So we'll wait and see. But that's pretty much it for that. Now, I've only got one player this week for the Where Are They Now. I was going to do it last week, but we're sort of running short on time. So this week, I'm going to go... sorry about this, ladies and gentlemen. You must really love the coughing that's happening every 2 minutes. So I'm going to go Shannon Watt. Now, for all you older folk, drafted with pick number 14 in the 1997 draft, Watt played 155 games for North Melbourne between 1998 and 2009. He was a dependable fullback who often took on the opposition's best key forward and was renowned for his durability. In 2003, he played every minute of every game. So that's a pretty good achievement in the modern AFL era, even though it was 20-odd years ago, but still a really good achievement. Back then, the interchanges used to be a lot more in the 2000s. I think Mick Malthouse used to go like in 120, 130 interchanges during the course of the game, so whereas now it's capped at, I think it's 80 or something now, so... Yeah, so that's a really good achievement. Probably got his opportunity once Danny Laidley came into the club and told Mick Martin to retire, who wanted to keep playing on. And because I think even Danny Laidley said at the time, we want to give Shannon Watt an opportunity. He'd been an assistant for a few years, hadn't really got it, and then all of a sudden, I think it might have been 2001 or 2002. When did Pagan leave? It might have even been 2003. I'm not too sure. So, once Pagan left, then Shannon Watt really got his opportunity. And had a good few years. So another interesting stat for Shannon Watt: never got a Brownlow vote in his 155 games and kicked 9 goals. He now lives in Michigan in the States and has a family up there with one kid, I believe. So he's made so straight after football, I think he's gone straight up there and lived the quiet life for away from football. Once he finished, that's it. I've never seen him at any functions or anything like that, or come up anywhere on the club. So, yeah, I think he's quite happy, and he's had a good career. And, good luck to him. I think he delves into a bit of business up there. I'm not too sure exactly what he does up there. But, he sort of disappeared off the radar once his football career was over. But he wasn't a bad player, Shannon Watts. So, certainly had a bit of athleticism, a bit of pace for a fullback. Certainly had his moments, like a lot of North players, but I thought he had a good career. Hopefully he's doing pretty well over there in Detroit, Michigan. That's it for me for tonight. So I'll probably be back Sunday morning with my hangover show. So look out for that. I'll definitely put the question out after the game on Saturday. So I'll get your responses. There might be a bit of emotion involved, so we'll have to wait and see about that. But thanks to everyone for listening tonight. A nice short podcast. I don't mind that on Thursday. I think you people don't mind that as well. So, but in all seriousness, thank you for your continued support of the Hashtag Kangaroos podcast. If you enjoyed this episode and enjoyed my coughing throughout the episode, don't forget to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, or subscribe to YouTube. Leave a rating and review and share the show with your fellow North Melbourne supporters. So enjoy the footy this weekend. Hopefully there's a miracle, and we're talking about a North Melbourne win next week. That'll definitely relieve the pressure off Clarko. He might get a contract extension, who knows. But until then, bye for now.